It was supposed to be the biggest payday of my career. Then, out of nowhere, I got fired. Just days before my bonus. But quitting quietly? Not my style. What I did next changed everything. I still remember that morning vividly. The sunlight filtering through my apartment window. The usual smell of fresh coffee lingering in the air. I was excited. This was the week I'd been waiting for. The bonus was going to change everything for me and my family. After 8 long years at the company, countless late nights and missed birthdays, this was my moment. But then the phone buzzed. An email notification. The subject line? Termination notice. I froze. My hands trembled as I opened it. No further explanation. No prior warning. Just, you're fired. Effective immediately. The words echoed in my mind. How could this be happening? Just 5 days before the bonus, the very bonus I had counted on to pay off debts, help my daughter's college fund, and finally breathe easy. I thought, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I'd been hacked or the email sent to me by accident. But no, that cold, emotionless email was real. For days, I replayed everything in my mind. Was there something I missed? I had always been the go-to guy, the one who fixed problems others couldn't. I led the biggest project in the company's history. Everyone knew it, except apparently my boss. I remember the tension building over the last few months. He was growing impatient with me asking questions, probing into new software implementations, questioning shortcuts he wanted to take. One heated meeting sticks out in my mind. I challenged a risky decision, and his face turned red with frustration. "You're making things complicated," he snapped. What I didn't know then was that his frustration was more than just about work. He was hiding something big. After I was fired, I accessed some of the project files I still had on my personal drive. Files that the company thought were gone with me. That's when I noticed oddities. Strange access logs, encrypted folders no one was supposed to see. My curiosity got the best of me. I dug deeper. What I uncovered wasn't just irregularities. It was a carefully crafted web of secrets. Backdoors in the financial systems, shady deals hidden behind layers of encryption, and a boss who was desperately trying to cover his tracks. I was no longer just a former employee. I was the only one who knew the truth. That night, I didn't sleep. Not a minute. The soft blue light from my laptop screen lit up the dark room as I scrolled through folder after folder. Files I had kept out of habit. Some were backups. Some were logs. Most people would have deleted them years ago. But I didn't. And now, they were the only proof that something far more sinister was going on behind the scenes. I began noticing patterns, unauthorized login attempts, server-side patches applied manually, money flowing into shadow accounts from vendors we hadn't worked with in years. And then, I saw it. A folder buried inside an old test environment. Password protected, but nothing I couldn't crack. Inside were contracts, falsified ones, signed by my boss and someone who didn't even exist in our system. At first, I didn't know what I was looking at. Then it hit me. He'd been fabricating payments, rerouting money from our biggest clients into a shell company, and I had unknowingly built the infrastructure that made it possible. He didn't just fire me out of spite. He fired me because I was the only one who could discover the truth. I felt sick, betrayed, used, but most of all, calm, because now I knew exactly what I was going to do. I backed everything up to an offline drive, then another, and then printed a hard copy, just in case. I wasn't going to the police. Not yet. People like him don't fall from a single accusation. They twist it. They cover it up. They spin a narrative. No, if I was going to do this, I had to make sure it burned. But first, I needed more. I needed evidence he couldn't deny. Voice, video, signatures, accounts. So I waited, watched, collected. I still had access to some back channels in the system, ones I had written myself. They never bothered to disable them because they didn't even know they existed. Irony. Day by day, I built my case, quietly, patiently. Every shady invoice, every midnight server access, every call he made from his secure office line, all of it, cataloged, timestamped, and backed up 6 ways to Sunday. And when I had enough, that's when I pulled the first string. It started with a press of a single key. I sent an anonymous tip to the board of directors. Not with accusations, no. Accusations can be ignored. What I sent was irrefutable proof. Wire transfers, manipulated contracts, falsified compliance reports, and a detailed breakdown of how he had been laundering company funds for over 2 years. Attached to the email was a single line. You might want to check page 4 of your annual report. Line 17 doesn't add up. I knew the board. I knew how they thought. Money, not morals, moved them. And nothing gets their attention faster than the scent of liability. Within hours, the legal team was awake. By morning, they were in full panic. But I wasn't done. The second email was for the company's largest client, a government agency bound by strict data security laws. I explained anonymously how their sensitive data was being routed through compromised servers and how those servers had been exploited by my former boss to inflate KPIs and justify inflated billing cycles. In my final act of poetic justice, I sent a copy of the full dossier to a very specific journalist, one who had been trying to uncover corruption in the tech sector for years. 3 days later, the article dropped. Front page, national circulation.
Whistleblower exposes multi-million-dollar corporate fraud scheme.
My boss's name was right there, in bold. His face next to the headline, his past, his lies, his greed, all of it dragged into the daylight.
And the best part, he had no idea it was me. I heard through old colleagues that he'd been called in for a routine review.
Within minutes, he was escorted out of the building, laptop confiscated, office sealed. A week later, his personal accounts were frozen. Investigators had begun pulling every document he ever signed. Clients were leaving. The stock price fell 17% overnight. He didn't just lose his job. He lost his reputation, his future, his entire facade.
He tried to deflect, of course, claimed he was being set up, said it was all a misunderstanding. But when they showed him the voice recordings, he broke.
And me? I never showed my face. I disappeared, quietly, cleanly. But not before withdrawing a small severance package I had set aside, a forgotten offshore bonus structure he'd approved years ago, thinking no one would notice.
Oh, I noticed.
Now I live in a quiet coastal town. I don't flaunt, I don't brag, but every time I see another story about some CEO being exposed or justice catching up with the powerful, I smile a little. Because I know, sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud.
It's precise, it's patient, and it's final.